And welcome back to the 12th man. Delighted to have Calum Quigley back on the show. Liverpool tops out in full force. We're going to be talking about a massive game in the week coming up against Madrid. Full of confidence. Hopefully I won at the weekend against Villa. We're also going to be looking back at that really, really bad performance with Spurs. United played very well second half. We're going to be getting on that as well. So I'm delighted to have you with us.
Cheers, Gareth.
He's on 350 grand a week, and he's literally doing live streams on Twitter during a game. Like it's embarrassing.
It's madness. Like there's boys out there getting 350 grand a week. Fixtures, not even
So only one quick start for me. It's like Monday, the one Saturday. My opinion is like the game every
Well, Cal, welcome back to the show. Sorry I just cut you off there before that answer come on, but good to have you back on. Obviously you were on there for Liverpool special a few weeks ago, but we haven't had you on here for the actual normal shows for a while now. So a lot's changed and a lot stayed the same. But hey, lockdown looks to be lifting now. Looks like we're going to get a big announcement now on Thursday. We could be possibly on our way to this towards the end of the month now.
I hope so. I think we're all dreaming now on Thursday. We'll get a good announcement. Gives about a hope now in the summer. Hopefully that there's the last bit now. Like I think everyone's just completely fed up at this stage. So the only good news from here on out, hopefully.
Well, seeing pictures in England yesterday, it looks like a completely different universe to us. They were just all out in the street drinking and having a bit of crack on. It's like, jeez.
Hard to
I was back coaching yesterday, so that's one thing that's back on my schedule. So I was glad to have it back. I think we've basically been off for 6 or 7 months, like bar the odd couple of weeks here and there. So starting to get back at that, and it sort of lifted me after the weekend because Spurs again at the weekend. Do you know what? I think we're back to where we were about 7 years ago when that really bad season. I think AVB get sacked and Sherwood come in, and they finished about sixth. And there was a lot of really bad performances, and you almost questioned the work rate and if Spurs were turning up the games and they didn't fancy it, they didn't want to be on. They don't want to be on the pitch. And to be honest, on Sunday, I thought they started decent. They looked like a team that were, they wanted to be there and they wanted to give United a game. But then on the other hand, I look at that and go, did United respect Spurs too much in the first half? Because in the second half, we've seen a completely different game. So, what do you think it was down to?
Multiple things really. First of all, quality. I think United's just a better team overall. I mean, you were saying tactics. Yes, that's probably a thing, but I don't know. Me and my dad were talking about it, and I think we compared it. It was we go back earlier on the season. I know they had a rough start, and you could have called it an off day, but you split up 6-1 away. and I think it's if you look at the bigger picture now, I think it's a testament to how far both teams have come and fallen with this result on Sunday. You look at United now, on the second, Spurs, in my opinion, lack of direction, lack of identity in the team.
Do you sense there's a lack of cohesion and a lack of unity in this? And because wasn't I can understand if you play decent and United just are too good, fair enough. But United are a better team than Spurs, no doubt about that. But I don't think it's levels. I don't think they're player for player levels above Spurs. I don't think it's like a Man City comparison. I think United are better, but not be a long way. I think Spurs turn up, play their best. It's a different game. It's a more even game.
I think they just play better as a team. I think you have your couple of individuals, but I don't know. You look at a team and you don't look like as if you are playing for each other, and you don't. As I say, you just don't have that identity as a team. You have that.
And United are the opposite. I think that United are a team that are united. They're playing as a team. That also they've got individuals that can do things. But as a team on Sunday, they were far better than Spurs, and they just looked at there just looked to be a better atmosphere in that United team. You look at Spurs. There was a video. I think my dad actually said this during the game because he spotted it. There was a situation where Højbjerg won the ball back. I think Oyer passed it back to him, and then like Højbjerg wanted him to move out right. It was just like a run they space. There was nobody there. I think Pogba was on side on the left at this stage. So literally, it was a good chance to start an attack, and he didn't move, and Højbjerg just sort of threw his arms at him. And that's sort of been the story of the season for Spurs. I think there's a
lack of confidence.
I think Mourinho's lost a lot of players. I think the likes of Kane, Højbjerg, Son, there's a few in there that are still behind him. But I think the problem is there's a majority are not playing for him. Even stuff like not running and they space, not wanting the ball. That's all signs of a team that are not fighting for the manager. And especially if you look at that when that second goal went done, Spurs just gave up. There's no fight at all. You could even say there was no fight at 1-1 when Fred scored. I think Kane had a bit of a charge, had a couple of shots, all or not. It was weak, spineless, gutless. And there was a stat after the game. I think Spurs they've lost near enough, if not the second most points in one of positions. They threw away the most leads, and everyone talks about Spurs being a soft side and mentality. I think over the years of Pochettino, that sort of did go a bit. I know there were still question marks about semi-finals and finals.
Roy Keane said you're a soft touch for the last 40 years.
40 years, but in the sense that Spurs never. Under Pochettino, Spurs were 1-0 down in a lot of games and come back and won 2-1, scored a lot of late goals. Under Mourinho, we see they've lost all that. It seems to be already about where we maybe score early and then go back to being the Spurs that maybe pre-Harry Redknapp was, where they Martin Yule teams where they could never get a ball line in games. Whereas before they couldn't get a ball line in big games. Now it just seems to be any game at all. They could be playing West Brom at home or Fulham at home and go 1-0 up and throw it away.
I think it's a mix of a couple of things. I think first of all, you said it there yourself. It's a lack of belief in the team. There's a lack of confidence there. You aren't playing as a team. But me and Matt were talking about it as well. Like we had a big chat about it after the match, and I think there is a lack of quality as well. I don't think he's helped the players to actually tack at the team like United. Like even if you say it yourself there now that United showed too much respect, I think they did because they done the same against us away to Anfield. And they do that to teams away from home, even though they haven't lost a away game now for I don't know how long, it's over a year, I think. But I'm not quite sure what it is with Spurs. Obviously, I don't think Mourinho's play style suits top level English football at this stage. Now I really don't, and I said that to you when you employed him. And I think he's proved me right. Now I think it's going to turn, if not already, it's going to get a bit sour. I don't think he's good enough to be in Spurs at the minute. But he also doesn't have a player. So I know you were on about the board. But at the same time, I think everyone can comfortably say the Spurs team he took on is probably the best team he's ever walked into. So they get to the stage now where you don't know where you're at, you don't know where your direction is. I think it's tough for a Spurs fan. I
understand it. I understand that some of them players that maybe were there a few years now, maybe some of them were on decline, and that's fair enough. You can give them that, but not being able to see Mourinho's been renowned for being a winner, being a manager that when they go up 1-0 in games, they're difficult to beat. And he's been there long enough now, and he's complaining about players. He signed Alderweireld on a new contract. He's bought Joe Rodon. He's bought Matt Doherty. He's bought Reguilon. He's strengthened that defence. Now, whether or not he wanted, but you have to envisage that he would have had some influence on the players that come in. So you can't have too many excuses. He wanted that Skriniar from Inter Milan, but I do think it's more than just one player. I think there's a lot of it's not just one player is going to solve all these issues. Even like Reguilon, he started well. Even in recent games, he's looked very shaky, but I think that's because he's playing with so many players that are underperforming. And I think if you look at Rodon, he's done well. He's seen on Sunday, I thought he'd done well at times, but he's playing with players that just constantly let you down. And you look at him for Wales, he's like a different player. And with Wales, he's playing with supposedly less quality, and up against teams that are, Spurs was one of the top 4, top 5 teams in the league, where Wales aren't one of the top 4 nations. So he's up against Belgium, for example, and he's been doing well. So there's no really easy answer at the minute for Spurs. But Danny here saying let's all jump on the Ole bandwagon because he's been a piss Spurs side. A second place finish and another trophy this season doesn't cut it for me. Danny is obviously, he spoke about it before, he's not an Ole fan. He thinks he's out of his depth. But it's starting to look like he might have an agenda, Danny, because at the minute they're only 11 points off Man City with a game in hand. This Man City side that everyone's been raving about, they're not doing too badly. The trophy thing's still a question mark, but barring a miracle to Granada, they should be in the semi-final and they'll get a really, really test against. It's looking like it's going to be Roma, and then possibly have to play Arsenal, Villarreal in the final. We'll have to see how that goes during the week, but that'll be the test. But you can't argue, Calum, at the minute that Ole and United are a team going in the right direction.
I was going to say, he might have an agenda because even as a Liverpool fan, you can't argue with. I know earlier on, that come under white out scrutiny. Was he good enough? Is he the man? I think with the performances now, you have to say he is. I think, as we were saying there now, comparison to Spurs, he's got the team playing. They all believe in him. They all want to play for him. And at Spurs, it's the complete opposite. Everyone hopes for it. I can't see why any United fan. Obviously, as a United fan, you expect a challenge for trophies. That's a given. Whether or not they can get that next season, well, obviously they're on the bar miracles. You said the Europa League, but in terms of going for the league, they expect they go where they're not too far off City, as you were saying there. I don't know. I keep him on the job. I know.
You're saying that he's been the best United manager since Ferguson. Gotta be happy with that, Danny Bell, but I'm sure Danny will point out that Mourinho won trophies United, and Solskjaer hasn't quite done that yet. Danny is a bit of a Mourinho. He likes Mourinho. He's always liked Mourinho. Even when he went to Spurs, he was texting me and he thought that he was the right man for Spurs. But I have to say, at the moment, it's not looking right. Roy Keane said that Mourinho needs more time at Spurs, Cal. Do you think he deserves any more time on what we've seen? And do you think Roy Keane's he is a Mourinho fan, he said it before, because he's got that one mentality and stuff. But do you sort of think if this was a different kind of manager, he would be hammering him?
I'm not sure, because he done the same way Ollie when I remember was it 3-1 we beat them at home at Anfield the year we won. We came second. Sorry, to Man City. He said, "How long's Ollie in the job? Give him time." So he does like giving managers time to prove themselves. And not that Jose has anything to prove, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I can't really give you an answer, not because the players don't seem as if they want to play for him. And then have the board.
We've seen before with Mourinho teams as well. Do you when it gets bad, it rarely ever turns around? Do you think it's worried that there's a lot of players in that team that are, at the minute aren't playing for him? It looks like that way anyway. Obviously, we aren't inside the dressing room, but you can only look on body language and performances and recent form, and that appears to be that way. So do you think it's going to be very difficult for him to turn it around if he gets more time?
It's hard to say. I think you have to go on. History tells you that it's not going to get any better. I can't see what he's going to do different now. They have completely turned this change room around. I on the whole, I do agree with you. I think it's coming to an end. Does he deserve more time? I'd probably say so. But I just don't think it's going to turn around. So in that case, you probably have to get rid of him.
It's looking like no top four, right? Barnes. I mean, we need snookers now. We need snookers to get into the top four, which is very unlikely. A cup final, it's going to be extremely difficult. Even if it was against any team, it would be difficult. It's against Man City, which makes it even more difficult. And you have to envisage they're not going to win that. But even if they did win that, do you think finishing 6th or 7th in the league and winning that'll be enough to keep Mourinho's job?
Well, he'll be doing what no other Spurs managers done for a long, long time, and that's won a trophy. So there are always Spurs fans out there saying, well, he's got what he's wanted, and the board got what they wanted because they knew what they were getting when they brought him in. He was a man who's going to keep you a trophy, and if he does get that, then you have to say it's a success because you have when's the last time he's won a trophy. So if he's get that trophy, obviously it's not a big trophy anymore.
Do you not look at it and go, there's loads of teams that have won trophies. You know, they all, Portsmouth won the cup and got relegated. Wigan won it. It was Danny's from Wigan. Wigan won the FA Cup and got relegated. Although it's great they won a cup, it shouldn't be the measure of your success. You shouldn't just. You see me Arsenal last year finished 8th and won the FA Cup. It hasn't got any better this year. So you can't look at that and go, oh, we're a team going in the right direction because we won a trophy. You have to look at the bigger picture. Spurs have won. Spurs beat Chelsea on penalties. Fair enough, decent one. Then they beat Stoke, Brentford to get here. That's all they've done. It's not like they've been through a whole host of great teams to get to this final. No doubt about it. They're going to have to beat a good one. They won it, and they will. If they do it, they'll get a lot of credit for it. But I look at the bigger picture. Mourinho was brought on. They kick this team on. Not let's fall to the Champions League and Europa League football, and then maybe won the All Cup. They wanted both. There's no other parts of Spurs were a top 4 side that they failed when it came to semi-finals and finals. Mourinho was brought on. They ensure they were a top 4 team, and maybe get them over the line in their games, and then maybe push up towards title challenges. It's not quite worked out that way. So, and from what I'm hearing with inside the club, it's the board their priority was top 4 this season, more so than winning a trophy. It would have been great they won a trophy, but from a financial impact and from attracting players, it's going to be very difficult if you're not in the Champions League.
100%. In terms of going in the right direction, I do agree with you. If you don't win the trophy, it doesn't signify that if you won the trophy, it doesn't signify you're in the right direction. But I actually disagree. I actually think the board were looking at Mourinho thinking, don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with bringing him to top 4 and maybe we go for that title, but I think with Spurs it's a bit of an exception because he's haven't won a trophy for so long. They're thinking, who's the man that can get us a trophy, even if it sacrifices the style of play, which it has. He's were great to watch, but under Poch you were thinking, geez, we don't want a trophy now, when are we ever going to win one? So now he's brought on Mourinho and he's a serial winner, so you're trying to get that trophy, you're trying to get over the line, get a bit of success, but I think he's completely sacrificed a lot of things in order to try to get that.
Yep. Obviously there was a bit of a debate in Sky Sports after the game, and before we get into it, it's going to be about Harry Kane, right? But just want to touch on it one more time, but Ollie's had 2 full seasons now at the end of the season, and he's had half a season before that, right? And he's done really, really well league-wise. He's had a few bad defeats in cup semi-finals. Obviously, that Leicester game in the quarterfinal a few weeks ago. You'd imagine they're going to play Roma now in the semi-final or Ajax, but United should be free. I can't see Granada turning that round. How important is this now? Do you think that not so much just winning the Europa League, because the Europa League, alright, it's a great trophy they won, but the biggest prize is to get in the Champions League, and United are going to be in the Champions League anyway because of their league position. But more they take the burden off that, it's the next trophy available. Is it important now they won this trophy? Because we've seen it with Pochettino, Calum. Great teams, they have to win. Newcastle, great teams in the 90s, have to win. If you don't win, it puts extra pressure on when it does go. Eventually there will be a decline in results. And unfortunately for Pochettino, he had nothing to really come back on. I mean, although it was seen as great achievements for some Spurs fans, a lot of Spurs fans looked at it and said, well, we haven't actually won anything under him, despite finishing really, really, really well in the league, higher than we've done for a long, long time. So do you think that it's the similar situation at United, where they've done well in games and they've done well over a league season, but it's down to their bread and butter now as they won these cups?
100%. Like they have done well, and the fans are, I would say, happy with them now. But it's very critical now. You have to get them trophies because, as you say, when the declining results come, you have to have something to fall back on. He has to get that. It's like a springboard now. If he gets that trophy under his belt, I think that's justified United's decision to keep him in, and he's got everyone playing well. But you need them trophies now. So 100%. If they don't get this trophy, it'll be really, really disappointing for United, I think.
Yeah, it puts extra pressure on next season as well if they just finish second. Because they're going to talk about an hard semi-final defeat, wouldn't it?
This keeps having pressure. You have to, as you say, you have to get them teams over the line. You have to win your trophies when you have the chance, and they have a great chance now. I would say they're probably favourite. They want it, but it won't be easy at the same time.
Yeah. Obviously, that result as well. You laughed at me on Saturday after the Leeds game, but there's stranger things that have happened in football. United have a game in hand. They won that. They're only 8 points behind. I know it's unlikely, But do you think there's still an outside chance of belief in that squad that we just need to keep winning? And you never know.
I don't think they're thinking the title. I think they're just taking a little cliche game by game, see what happens. But I don't think there's an actual belief in there, because if you take it back to January when you were saying, I can't remember who you had on, I think it was Colin, but you had a big week with Burnley away and then Liverpool, I think it was, top of the league and all that there. Did they have the belief? And even then, when they were top of the league, they didn't show us that they had the belief, so I don't think they have it now. I think they'll just be focusing on, just focus on Europe really, but I don't think they're thinking.
Obviously, a big game for Man City against Dortmund during the week as well. That's going to be, you could arguably go on that time and say Dortmund have every chance now of that away goal. But as City go deeper in these competitions, they're if you look at the Leeds game and you look at the United game a few weeks ago, and I know they have been shopping and changing players, but they look at a team that are they've played their best football. They're still a great team, but that maybe the way they were brushing teams aside a few weeks ago, maybe that's gone a bit. And they're because they've been in such a good run that they maybe are a little bit vulnerable. I don't think they'd have lost that Leeds game a few weeks ago. I mean, they played against 10 men for the full second half of that game, so there's bound to be a few concerns coming onto a game like Dortmund, coming onto the cup final against Spurs. There's a semi-final against Chelsea. There's some big games coming up, and the league games at the minute. I think they've definitely taken an eye off it because they're so far ahead. It'd be interesting to see if that gap was they could cut again. How much would they really start to worry about that? But it's a fascinating. I love to see it. It serves towards the end just for one other game.
Not for you.
You're happy to say one.
Hey, let's sit here on a bit.
So obviously the big debate after the game was Harry Kane. Obviously a lot of reports this week about him. That if he didn't finish in the top four, he would want to leave. He always said, Calum, that when he signed his contracts and when he was asked about Spurs' future, that he would always stay at Spurs if he felt they were going in the right direction, and winning a trophy with Spurs would mean more to him than any other club. And so, do you think he's given it a fair crack now that he stayed possibly longer than he should have? He could have left a couple of years ago when after that season when they finished second to Chelsea and stuff. But obviously they got the Champions League final, but their league positions since then haven't been as good. They've slipped down third, fourth, fifth now. And then last season was obviously a really, really poor season. But and it's looking like another season of no Champions League football. As you say, unless there's snookers and teams really collapse and Spurs miraculously get on a run, I don't see it happening. So, what's going through Harry Kane's mind at the moment? If you had to summarise,
one word: trophies. He needs to win trophies. He's too good a player not to win trophies. I don't think any Spurs fan now. Obviously, you can answer this yourself. If he was to leave now in the summer, I don't think he can be better at him. He has to go and win trophies. He has to go win trophies now. Like, what is it? Well, his birthday was it 28 or 29 he turned?
Sorry?
Or was it his birthday or coming up or something like that there? He's
28 now in July.
28 now in July. So, prime moments, like he has to. I think, because you said there, if Spurs are competitive, or they have ambition. I don't.
But there's
I don't think
a debate on it, right? That Roy Keane was saying United should go for him, and Micah Richards sort of jumped on. I know they have a wee bit of banter and stuff. He sort of said that obviously it would be a step up in terms of United's a bigger club, but they haven't won a trophy under Ollie, so there's no guarantee that a lot of United fans are probably thinking, "Oh, Kane would never turn us down." But if a Man City were to come in, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Where he would go.
I listened to that there a bit, and I think Micah was right about how he wants to get in the team now. They're there for trophies. United's a good team at the moment. They're playing well, but they're not there yet. They're still, as Micah said, they're still in that wee bit of development. They're trying to get the trophies. I think if it came down to Man City or Man United, that's an absolute no-brainer for Kane. He's going to Man City all day long because they're there for trophies. They're on the bout there. And they're winning trophies nearly every year. So, whereas United,
there's obviously one problem at all, Calum. And Ferguson spoke about it before. I think Leon's president spoke about it before. You're up against the toughest negotiator in football here, with Levy. So it's not going to be easy to get him. Apparently Levy wants 150 million up front, one payment. Which is going to be very difficult for teams in this market. At the end of the day, and I'm sure Kane will understand as well that Spurs just can't sell him cheap. They have to get. It's a business at the end of the day as well. There's a lot of loyalty there. But I think the loyalty will be, look, Corey, if we get 150 million, we're prepared to let you go. More so where maybe last year or the year before, it was like, all right, doesn't care, doesn't matter what money come in, you're staying. Whereas I think now that we owe it to Kane after we got 150 million, which is probably a fair enough price, for a player just coming 28. He's had an injury record too. That there's an argument that Spurs would be mad not to take it in terms of if he had an or bad injury, he might never get that money again. So, but for me, I would obviously want to keep him. But from a business point of view, and the fact that Spurs are obviously going to be needing to rebuild now, that 150 million might be the prize number. But can you see anybody being able to pay it?
It's almost impossible to predict with COVID and stuff. There's teams with no revenue. I think it's going to be a real stumbling block to get Kane out of the club because of the money situation. I think there might be a wee bit of leeway there because I know Levy, hard negotiator, but Kane's gives so much to that club now. I think they owe him something. I know it's a business, and I know they're going to want to get as much money out of him as possible. I think there might be a wee bit of leeway there if they get not everything that they want, but if they get close to what they want, I think they might part ways because I think they will not now. They won't let him go and try to get trophies.
Yeah. If you had a guess, where do you think Harry Kane will be playing next year? Do you think it'll be Spurs or somewhere else?
I'm not sure. I think the only two options really, I think, are Man City or Spurs. I don't think there's other teams.
Do you know what? There's rumours about PSG as well, but might help. But I think that Kane wants to stay in England. I think he wants Shearer's record.
That's the only reason why I'm playing that.
You're settled. He doesn't. He's not a glamour footballer. You don't see him being in the headlines for too many things. He's very much football focused. He's a throwback to a player that you talk about players. I don't mean as in the party lifestyle. I mean as in Ronaldo and stuff was he was doing loads of stuff outside of football. Whereas Kane seems to do everything. Anything he does it's within football. I think he's sponsored in the rent and stuff. They're badges for the series. He's very much football focused, and I do think England's where he wants to stay. So I think Man City will be the obvious one. But there is a second party in here, and Haaland's going to be the other one that teams might look at, and they might go that Haaland's a younger player, that he might be a better business. But we've seen it with Werner, and I'm not trying to compare the two, but it's not always easy going to England as well. So if you're Man City or Man United, say, and you have a choice between Kane or Haaland, who are you going for?
Oh, see, talk about that for half an hour. It's a massive decision. You go for Kane on one hand, older, experienced, knows how to play in England, proved he play in England. And I'm not trying to say at all Haaland's a bad player. His numbers are unbelievable for his age. But I think if you go on a business standpoint, it's a no-brainer for Haaland because of the longevity you're going to get out of him. But I think if you want quality, proven English quality, has to be Kane. But it just depends what way you look at it. Really, you can make it
the way Man City and United play, and Kane's suited right down the ground to how they play. He can drop off, play them balls on behind for the likes of Rashford, Martial, Greenwood. You look at Man City, Sterling. You've got Jesus to come off a bench, but you've also got the likes of Mahrez there. He should send teams down the ground too.
They can play near any team.
I got a chance on Kane if you're one of them owners. And he might cost a lot more, but you're getting a world class forward who's proven in England at the end of the day.
I was going to just saying there, he can play in any team. So I think Haaland, he stays very low number 9, getting the box, doesn't really be in the build-up play too much, where Kane can do it all. He's assists this year as well, as much as his goals. I would just sit Man City down the ground. He's almost a perfect deal for Man City if they can get him.
I actually think that the pundits and the Sky and all these outlets and us even at times, I think we're wasting our time. But I honestly think that the COVID thing makes it impossible. I think if it had been on COVID, you might have there's a case. But I think it's going to be very difficult. I mean, if you're an accountant and you look at the documents here, there's no way that teams are going to be able to afford a 150 payment on lump sum, or even maybe doing a staggered payment. I'm just not sure how it happens. You've seen it last year. There wasn't too many big deals, and that was only a couple of months with no fans. This season's been more or less a whole season with no fans. We don't know what's going to be like next year at the start of the season either. If it's going to be full stadiums again, it might only be half stadiums. There's a lot of uncertainty around, so I don't think there's going to be teams willing to splash out. And Kane as well, I think everyone would agree that he's got that loyalty to Spurs, that if somebody does come with 100 million bid and Spurs say no, I just can't see him making a fuss and making a circus around the whole situation, maybe, whereas all our players would. We've seen Bale before. He didn't make too much of a circus but it was evident that he didn't want to be there. He wasn't in the pre-season tour. He was training on his own. I can't imagine Kane doing the same. I think Kane will be very committed to Spurs if a deal doesn't happen.
I'm not quite sure. I agree. Like not that he wouldn't cause a fuss, but I think he might be saying to Levy in the background, look, I really, really want to go and be competitive now. I'm not quite sure he would accept the way Spurs going at the minute. I know he's a massive loyalty to them, but no, I think I disagree. I think he really needs
the
to.
The other thing as well, Cam, he's on
$200,000
a week at Spurs. Apparently, he would want 250, 300 to go to another club as well if he gets that big move, because he's going to be going for big money. He's going to have a big signing on fee. You're looking at the guts of 200 million to fork out for this transfer. That's going to be one of the biggest deals in transfer history in terms of the money, the agents, the wages, the signing on fees. It's going to be crazy. I just think it's very, very difficult for a team to do it. I'm not just saying that as a Spurs fan. I'm just looking at it as a neutral. Do you know what I mean?
I actually agree. As I said 5 months ago, it's Man City or nothing for me, really, because I think they're the only team that can really realistically get him on the team and do it. So I'm not quite sure. I think it's the perfect time for him to leave, but it's also, it couldn't be any worse really, because there's no the COVID and there's no money running around football at the moment. So I think it's come perfect for Spurs fans, because they're obviously going to want to keep him. But I think in terms of Kane, I was thinking, Jesus, there's no fans in there. There's no team you can really.
Already saying Kane would have immediate impact with like De Bruyne behind him. He will have the vast goals for 100%. Yep, 100%. I mean, I think he would score 40 to 50 goals this season on that Man City team. I honestly think if he goes to Man City, then the league's over next year already. I can't see anybody being able to, because you're looking at adding another 40, 50 goals to that team. How they, it will be. I think it will be very difficult to imagine them not winning it. Then we have on there. Kiara's saying he thinks Son was so upset after the match because Kane was going. I did see that interview, and Son was very, very upset. I think, again, it hurts him. He's very loyal to Spurs. He's been here a long time. He's interviews before as well. He's a passionate player. Whether it was to do with Kane or not, I'm not sure, but he was very upset, and that was worrying. I think as well, Son, he was in talks for a new contract. He hasn't signed it yet. He's only got 2 years left. So he's in a more vulnerable position for Spurs in terms of his contract. So he might be the one that Spurs look at and go, what, if we get 70, 80 million for you, and he's around the same age as Kane too, maybe that's a better deal for Spurs.
It's a more realistic deal in terms of money. Kane, as you say, is going to be a massive, massive transfer when that happens, but it's almost unattainable at the minute. So maybe Son's more realistic, and there's not many teams that would say no to him either. So
yeah. Anyway, Cal, loads to talk about that. We're going to move on and chat about Liverpool. Great result at the weekend. Fudgies played quite well in the first 60 minutes. Fudgies were very unfortunate to go behind. We'll get into that goal in a minute that Villa scored. But after the goal you scored, it seemed to really fuzz out the game. And I thought towards the end, Villa were looking a bit more dangerous in the break. Barkley, to be honest, he had a couple of great chances. They play players in her. He'd do something himself, and he made a real mess of it. I think he actually coming on caused Villa. But Villa were so poor for so long in that game, Calum. Was it a bit of a worry that Liverpool weren't able to put them away?
Really, really frustrating going on the half time. The amount of chances Villa must have given us the ball about 5 or 6 times and we couldn't do anything with it. So if anything, it just summed up our season. It was like they couldn't give us any better opportunities that they tried. And then they go up and score the goal, and you're thinking that just 45 minutes just sums up Liverpool this season. Mistake by the keeper, wasn't great defending, and then the VAR call too, which I thought was ridiculous. I had a long conversation about it in minutes, but we get back on it then, as you say, it fizzled out. Villa looked a wee bit more dangerous, and then we on character like this year we actually got the goal in the end. I thought it was going to end 1 each, but I was on the whole it was a good performance, but Villa were very, very poor at times too. Yeah,
I thought Villa were, it was as poor as I've seen Villa all season. The boys in midfield kept giving the ball away. I mean, Liverpool, I looked at that game and I thought, see if this is last year, the amount of times that Liverpool actually got the ball in the final third because of a mistake. Like a player passed to Salah or passed to Mane or passed to Firmino, and they couldn't put them away. It was either a poor pass or a really poor finish, and some of the finishing was going miles over the bar and stuff. They weren't even working the goalkeeper. Does that worry you, Calum, that there's a lack of clinical on there, and that do you just worry about the overall? There just seems to be something not right. I don't know how you've seen it. It was great. I think it was a great one in the end because you got the one. Great finish from Trent. But when the dust settled down, did you look at that and go, we're going to have to do a lot more than that to maybe get past Madrid or they finish in the top four?
If you're thinking with my head, I'm thinking, where can we talk about another performance they got there in terms of, like, I would say it's a natural decline now in terms of Manny and Firmino and stuff, because Sal's still putting up the numbers and he's carrying his team.
Yeah.
Jota's coming on, he was injured, he's scoring well. There's such a lack of confidence, especially in Manny. I know Firmino's been bad for a while now, but especially in Manny, his numbers this year were really, really dropping. I don't know if you watched the game, but at the very end, he had a one-on-one, and he was put it in the keeper's hands.
Yeah, I've seen that. That was the last kick of the game, basically. And obviously, it didn't mean anything then, but if Villa went up there and scored after that, it would have been, but no, I think the right result in the end came. And Liverpool Villa were so proud they didn't deserve anything out of the game. They only really come into the game because Liverpool's intensity dropped. Great one, great finish from Trent. Probably buzzing for Trent himself that he got that goal. Difficult week for him. And he showed great signs in that game of his attacking ability again. That switch ball for the offside goal. The finish as well. And Southgate was watching, but I don't think there's any argument. And Southgate would agree about his attacking quality. It's going to be his defensive quality that gets him onto the Euro. So how do you see that going? Do you think that he's going to be left behind?
I think he will be. And one thing I will say, though, because I'm a Liverpool fan, I don't think he gets enough credit for his defensive abilities. I know he's not. I know Wan-Bissaka's better. I know Walker's better defensively, but I don't think the gap is that big as what people make out. I know in terms of the system he plays in Liverpool, he has to be up further, so he does leave space behind, and he does get covered, and that's not how England's going to play. So I don't think he's going to go to Euros. But I don't know. I think he's a bit harshly criticised in terms of his defence at times. I think match a day, if you'd watched that there, Alan Shearer went over it. I think they went over his defensive qualities during the game. And I'm not saying he's a fantastic defender, but I don't know, I think he's a bit...
I think that the problem is with Liverpool, I think his position gets exposed at times because he's so high up. If he was playing for England might not be that attacking. He might be better positionally in terms of he might not be caught up the pitch as much because he might not be allowed to go up the pitch as much. So that is something to consider. But Calum, obviously, big one. Carragher spoke about it in commentary that the concern he had during the game was that for how poor Villa were, every time he did get forward, he looked like scoring. Is that a concern that Watkins looked so dangerous and he was feeding off scraps that the goal as well was straight at the goalkeeper? He seems to be making a lot of mistakes as well. There's a nervousness about that back four. Do you think that's what's causing Alisson to make so many mistakes? That's part of it, or do you think as well that some of them Alisson's got to be doing a lot better on?
I think it's always about a both. I think obviously it's probably our most set up back four we've had now for a long time, but even at that, the quality, seen it on Madrid, the quality's not there. Kabak's young, Phillips is, and then our season he wouldn't even be way out and loan. He's done well for what he's come on for, but I think their midfield didn't have a great game. I think what Gini lacked, but I think there's a serious lack of confidence as well with Alisson, because you've seen it when we won the trophies, won the league, they won the Champions League. You always could count on one in a big moment. They step up and get that save. And I think there's just a serious. I think it was since the Man City game. I think he hasn't really fully recovered from that there. Obviously, it's a mix of not having Gomez and Virgil there as well, but I think individually, I think he needs. I
think there was a lot of ones where he was maybe rushing out and making mistakes, but these last couple of ones, like the Madrid goal, the third goal, and that goal the weekend, went straight for his hands. Stuff that's bread and butter for any goalkeeper. That's a big concern. It's not so much his decision making now, because he came up a couple of times during that game, I think, against Villa, and he did make a couple of great clearances. But it was just the shot stopping. So it just seems to be, it's not one thing at the minute, it's an hour. But obviously the big one for the top four, it keeps you in there, because I think if he's hadn't got that winner, it was looking again like Spurs needing snookers to get on. We spoke about it before the West Ham Leicester game. I asked you, what would you prefer? You said a Leicester draw or Leicester win, and I said I don't know. I said if I was you, I'd be looking at it more. West Ham come on and drags Leicester back on it, because then that makes two places available, which makes it easier, I think, for Liverpool. Because I said, I don't see any way Chelsea not finishing in the top four. I think they're going to be far. I know they did that bluff against West Brom, but I watched them against Palace. They in terms of their performances, there's not many teams playing better than them around. So I think that they're nailed on. I could be wrong. Things can change, but I think they're nailed on. And I think if Leicester had won that game on Sunday, it made it very difficult for Liverpool. But now that that's opened up, I think Liverpool and West Ham have every chance. So are you more confident now? Have maybe looked at and thought that maybe the two places, maybe the West Ham one did suit us a bit more?
I was going to say, I think now on the whole, West Ham done us a favour. Last time you had me on a couple weeks ago on the Liverpool special, I said, I'm nearly sure I said I don't think we're going to get top 4. And this sums up the season, because now I'm going to say, I think, well, not that we are going to get it, but we have every single chance now to get it. I don't think we're going to get free Real Madrid on Wednesday night, so that'll be no European football after that. I think I agree with you that Chelsea's a shoe, and I think they're going to get there. I think their quality is too much. West Ham's playing really, really well, as you said to me.
Do you think Leicester's the most vulnerable team?
I think Leicester's the most vulnerable team, especially as well. I think off the pitch as well. You know, with Madison and the whole COVID breach, I think there's a wee bit of something going on there up on the squad. I think there's a lack of quality. Not a lack of quality, there's just a dip in form. So I think Leicester's.
I think Rogers made a big decision on it. He dropped them players, and it's one of them ones. You're down to you. He said you need to look at leadership and set the right example, and totally agree. But it was such a big game that I think if you won the game without them players, it's great management. If you lose the game and now their top 4 hopes are in jeopardy, you come under a bit of fire for it. But it is difficult. It's a very difficult position to get into. The Sky pundits didn't criticise them too much, but they said there was an argument for maybe punishing them down the line, maybe getting them into this game. And because it was a team they were playing right below them, it's really dragged Leicester on it now. And we know where they finished last year, and the pressure's really on now again. The next 4 games, we were talking about, they're favourable. Leicester's next 4. They've got West Brom at home, Palace at home, Newcastle at home, and Southampton away. 4 favourable games, but the way they're playing, it's going to be nervy times. We've seen the next games, West Brom have just won 2 in a row. They're still on a chance of staying up. And then them last 3 games, obviously everyone knows that they've been the ones that everyone's saying, well, if they're getting them and needing points, they could be in trouble. But you just wonder, Calum, it's going to be difficult to assess because you don't know what situation teams are going to be in. If United if Man City have the title wrapped up, United are going to have a semi-final sandwiched in between that game, so they might not be putting out their strongest team in it. And then obviously Chelsea will be difficult. You'd imagine they'll be fighting for top 4. But the Spurs game at the end of the season now, that looks like a dead rubber for Spurs. Spurs might not have anything to play for. So again, it's very difficult to assess what teams are going to be leading right now, isn't it?
It's almost impossible to call it. As I said a couple of weeks ago, I thought we have no hope of getting top 4. We had an outside chance, but now we're back in it. And if you get me on another 2 weeks' time, I'll probably have a different opinion again. I think every team's just changes every week now. And then, as you say, in terms of European football in there, well or not Man City have the league wrapped up, every game has a different tang on it. So it's really, really hard to call it at the minute. But I think Leicester, on the whole, do look vulnerable.
West Ham, they're making it difficult for themselves in games, but they're blowing teams away. I think their intensity is so much. I think it's a bit of both. Their intensity is so much. You see Lingard running around everywhere, and players, running them. West Ham, some great goals in that game, but loads of hard work off the ball. I think in the last 20-30 minutes of games, they're getting tired, and obviously nerves is coming out too. You've seen them last few minutes against Leicester, and the last few minutes against Wolves, the last few minutes against Spurs a few weeks ago. There's players falling everywhere. They're panicking and just hoofing it. It's going to be interesting to see if it gets there, how they're going to keep getting away with it. They're putting themselves under massive pressure, and they've never been in this position before of players, fighting for top 4. Do you think that nerves might get the better of them towards the end of the season?
I'm not quite sure. As a Liverpool fan, I hope they do, but I think you can't disagree with the way they're playing. They're blowing teams away.
They've got the best player in the Premier League at the minute, Lingard, on form.
I agree with you. I think the way he's playing is just unbelievable. So, as you said to me after the match, if they can handle the pressure, they'll definitely do it, because the way they're playing just is mesmerising. They watch at times the way Lingard's playing. They're just running through teams. But then,
so you still think that Liverpool are the outsiders in this top 4 race? You still think they're Chelsea, West Ham, Leicester are the favourites?
Because I still think we struggle to score goals. We're not clinical.
Each game, Calum against Leeds next Monday night, that's going to be massive.
If you give West Ham the chances we got against Villa, it would have been 5 or 6 in the first half. Easy, the way they're playing. It just sums up us as well. So, and then Leeds away on Monday night. They're not great. They're not great at home. They'll give us chances. So it comes down to, again, whether or not we can put the ball in the back of net. And we've seen this season at times we can't, and then we stepped up on Saturday. So we'll see.
If you look at West Ham's fixtures, Calum, they've got Newcastle away on Saturday. Again, they're playing the first game as well, which at the moment, that's Liverpool seem to be getting. There's a Monday night game there for Liverpool. That's not going to help, because if West Ham won, that's going to put them under real pressure. And West Ham, when Newcastle got a good one there against Burnley, won't be easy. but you feel West Ham have got a great chance of winning that game, and then they've got a big game against Chelsea after. That's going to be a big week for Liverpool. I'm not sure he's played that. He's played there. I haven't fixtures with down a couple of weeks ago actually. Liverpool play Newcastle at home, so that'll be a big one. If he can beat Leeds, 1 Newcastle. West Ham play Chelsea. Somebody's going to drop points.
I was going to say
West Ham have Burnley away, Everton at home, Brighton away, West Bromwich and Southampton at home. So you have to think that the next couple of games is where West Ham's biggest test. If they can get through that Chelsea game, they're going to be looking hard to catch. And Chelsea, then if they lose that, they're going to bounce back. But it's fascinating. How do you see it all finishing, Calum? 3rd and 4th. How do you see it going?
Just as a Liverpool fan, I'm going to go for it. I think we're going to finish 4th and Chelsea 3rd. I think the pressure might be too much for West Ham. I actually was looking at our fixtures before the Villa game, and we had Villa, Leeds, and then Newcastle, and then away to United. And I was thinking, if we can get 9 points going on the Old Trafford, we're in a serious position. So, hopefully Monday night we go and get a big one. I think we're going to do it. I think we might just squeeze on West Ham, may crumble, and Chelsea will
go through. You think Chelsea and Liverpool? Chelsea, Liverpool, Leicester, and West Ham out. Be interesting. Obviously, the one thing we're going to touch on before we go, Liverpool play Real Madrid now on tomorrow night. Huge game. I think that Liverpool, going to this game, if this is a full capacity, the ground buzzing, this is a different game. I think that not so much different, but it gives Liverpool a better chance. I think the atmosphere would have come in late, but I think even if they had been a full ground, it still would have been a big ask. With the players they have available. Calum, before we go into it, do you think that you've seen that Madrid with Barca at the weekend there? Do you think that everybody underestimated this Madrid team, that they're a lot better than people give them credit for?
I think I'm back guilty at myself. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I still thought we were favourites. And I know we had some really bad performances and defeats over this year, but I think Madrid absolutely embarrassed us last week. They played us off the park, wasn't close. And I know we've had some bad calls this year, but in terms of Kroos and Modric, they pinged it around Fabinho the whole game. He couldn't get a touch of the ball. So I think their class is there to be seen, and we seen it last week. I don't see much changing. I think obviously I've got the fans there, completely different game, but I'm not quite sure we have the belief.
Do you think that this would be a bigger miracle than the Barcelona?
I
think it would be.
I know we didn't have Salah for that their Barcelona game, but the way the fans there and we had the belief there, and we were playing well in the league at the time as well.
And the Barcelona game, he's weren't totally outplayed, even though he's a bit 3-0. He's weren't totally outplayed. Like against Madrid, he's had one chance, I think. He's lucky to get out 3-1 against Madrid. It was a lucky, it could have easily been 4 or 5-1. It was game over.
Once again, Salah got us a goal. So I think it's light years different from the Barca game, because we were always on it with Barca, whereas Real Madrid, we didn't even compete.
You know what, though? If you can get that first goal, it makes it interesting, because you 1-2-0, you're through. But can you see Liverpool keeping a clean sheet? That's a big concern, isn't it? That you just don't see it.
I can't see it, honestly. I don't think it's going to be a 2-0. I think we're vulnerable at the back, and they'll know what. I think it'll be a wee bit of a different game. Obviously, they have the advantage now, but I'll be very, very surprised if we keep a clean sheet.
What do you think of that game? Score prediction then, before we go?
Score prediction? 2-1 Liverpool. Is that puts them through, I think.
Sorry, what are you saying?
I think 2-1. I think that puts them through. So I think we'll win on the night, but
2-1 to Liverpool on the night. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think that Liverpool's really going to chase the game. It's going to really open up gaps for Madrid. And I said last week I fancy Liverpool. They won and Madrid and be comfortable in this tie, but I think like yourself, can't underestimate this Madrid team. And from what I've seen last week, it's not even, they're great on the ball in the field and they played some great football. But there's so much pace in that front line. It's a nightmare for Liverpool to back at the minute. And I think that makes Madrid nailed on favourites here. They won this tie. I don't see any way Liverpool can turn it around. That it would be a big shock to me. Even you, like you're the most. I know you're not a doted Liverpool fan, but you're quite loyal. And if you thought there was a chance, you would back him. And you don't really see it. So I think Liverpool could well be beat on the night too. I'm going to go for an R3. I think it'll be an R3-1. I think Madrid will be comfortable. James is saying here Liverpool had a better team against Barcelona, 100%. And they had a belief about them. Obviously, 1-4-0 was an incredible result, but I think this is a harder game based on the players that are available, the no fans, and the fact, as Calum said, they've not been scoring goals for fun. They're going to have to probably score at least 3. They take us to extra time because I think Madrid will score at least 1, at least. But Calum, the rest of the games before we go, PSG against Bayern Munich tonight, an absolute classic. I'm buzzing for this. I can't wait for this. Probably one of the best games I ever watched last week. You know what? It probably won't be the same again. You're very unlikely to get another game like that, but you still expect a good game. So, how do you see it going? PSG lead 3-2. It's going to be interesting.
Very interesting. I can't wait to watch it tonight. Hey, I think PSG is actually going to go for I think the late goals will help them. It'll be a much tighter game. I don't think it will be anywhere near as many goals. I don't think. I could be wrong. We see a bit of a scoring game now, but I actually fancy PSG to go for with no Lewandowski with Bayern, so I'm not quite sure.
Score prediction?
It's hard to say, 2-1 PSG. It could be anything.
I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm going to go 2-1 Bayern. PSG go 3 on away goals. I think you could be right. The away goals could be crucial here. And I'm rooting for Pochettino as well. I really hope PSG, really go on and do this, because he deserves it. I'm telling you, he was very, very unlucky at Spurs. And I think if he pits Barcelona out, he pits past Bayern Munich tonight. I think he's proved a lot of people wrong that he can handle the big games. You know what? If it is Man City in the next round, they'll not want to be playing PSG with this counter attack they've got. They were under. I think PSG before have been labelled that they're not resilient and they're quite soft. I think you've seen against Munich the other night. They come under a lot of pressure at times, and they were able to withstand that at times. And if they can get through the night, because they're going to have to go through more pain, I think Bayern are going to have a lot of the ball again. The pressure is going to be really on PSG now. And if they can get through this, it's going to improve even more people that Pochettino can carry this team over the line. So now rooting for Pochettino, but I think Bayern Munich might edge it 2-1, and the away goals will help PSG. Chelsea against Porto. Chelsea 2-0 up from that first leg. I think the game's back in the same place again tonight, so it's in Spain. But do you think Chelsea will be comfortable?
I think it will be comfortable. I think the game's over, to be honest. Like, it'll have to be an arm-mad performance from Porto. I think Chelsea are comfortable tonight. Probably just go for a 1 each, to be honest. I think
Going to 1-0 Chelsea. And then tomorrow night, obviously, Liverpool against Madrid. We've said we fancy a 2-1 Liverpool, but that would put them out. I'm going 3-1 again Madrid. So I mean, Liverpool going out. Can see if that if they were to go out, and they were to maybe not finish in the top 4. Do you think that's going to be a very hard summer for Liverpool to do what they want to do? Do you think top 4 is going to be key to getting players out and getting the right players in?
Of course, 100%. If we don't get top 4, it's really, really bleak. I know we were linked with that centre half here, Kanate, so he'll won Champions League football. So if we don't get top 4, we're in for a really bad summer, I think.
Yeah. And then the other tie that morning, Dortmund against Man City. Going to be fascinating as well, that one. Dortmund are right on this, I know that goal Man City scored in the last minute might have hurt them, but they would have took 2-1 away before the game. They've got that away goal. If they score first, they're going to be so
they should have got more goals.
How do you see this going? This is going to be very interesting. And City are going to have I think Pep said before after the game last week, he said that again the occasion got to the players. I think again it's going to be a question mark. So this is every chance of going the other way.
100%. You're waiting for City. They always have one performance in Europe where they just throw it on. They did it against Lyon, like they did against, I can't remember the other side it was. So you're thinking as the tomorrow night, that performance where they just aren't quite at it, and the pressure against them, because there's so much pressure in terms of winning the Champions League with Pep and the players now. So Dortmund have every chance. If Haaland gets going, I don't know. I fancy Dortmund. They get at least 1 goal, so I could go any. I can't call it, but Dortmund have every chance.
Yeah, if you had to push you for a prediction here, what would you go?
I'm not quite sure,
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think City might just get it done, but I think it's going to be tight again. It'll be interesting.
I'm going to go the same scoreline, 2-1, take it on the extra time. I think I might go all the way. And
you're not prepared to get called?
City on penalties. I think it's going to go all the way.
City on penalties. Geez, so how about a real drama? And then on the Thursday Europa League games, Man United against Granada. 2-0 up. That's home tie they come. This should be straightforward.
100%. United definitely free. They've done the hard work already, so I think they're free.
Yeah. Roma at home to Ajax. You'd fancy Roma. They see that free at home.
100%.
By the way, I think United will win comfortable. I'll go 2-0 as well.
I fancy Roma as well. What's the score in that there match?
2-1 to Ajax, or 2-1 to Roma, and Roma are going to be playing at home now as well.
I know you'd fancy Roma and they take it for you in the semi-finals.
Yeah, and then Villarreal against Zagreb. Villarreal 1-0 away from the first game. So Zagreb need another miracle here. We know they got one against Spurs, but away from home. Although it's not, they were 2-0 behind in that game. This is going to be hard. Do you see Villarreal being able to see through this?
I actually do. I think it's that they're going away to Eastern Europe's a wild hard place to go to, so they get a result there is good. So I think every team who's leading now is going to stay free in the hand. So
and then we've got the Slavia Prague Arsenal, and Arsenal's season hinges in this game. Seen a lot of the AFTV boys this week saying if Arteta doesn't win this, the pressure's going to be really on him because of the reposition and stuff. So how do you see it going? Do you think it's Arsenal run for a nervy night here?
Very nervy. I think they're the only team out of the whole European ties there for Europa League that I think they might go the other way. I'm not quite sure. I think Arsenal have that performance on them where if they concede a goal, the nerves kick on. So
yeah,
I think they'll do it on the night, but it will be very, very nervy.
I see this going all the way as well. I think this is going to be a very long night. I'm going to go 1-1 and Prague need nick it in extra time. And that's just how I see it going.
I do you know what? I'll actually agree with that one. I'll take you out there one as well. Prague in extra time.
Yep. And that's us wrapped up, Calum. Really good show. Really enjoyed that. Some really, really good chat. Some really great viewer comments as well. So thanks for them that were coming on. I'll be back on Friday. We're going to be building up. I think it's the FA Cup semi-final weekend. Everton plays Spurs on Friday night too, so I'll probably have to do it earlier on Friday. Probably come on around 4 or 5 o'clock, hopefully. And big games, we've always got Leeds Liverpool. We're going to be looking back at all Champions League and Europa League fixtures as well, and then looking at the semi-finals and seeing who are the favourites they go on and win it. So, Calum, thanks very much, and I'm sure I'll see you on again before the end of the season.
Cheers, Gary, as always. Thank you.